loves it.
Hey, they can take care of the minutia.
Yeah.
Formatting and all that.
Yeah.
All systems go.
Okay, influencer.
Yes, like this is not what I'm here for. It's not their purpose.
Doesn't want
You need this.
I can put it back up when we're discussing. Does that make sense? Okay.
That's the only copy I've got. Hard.
Oh,
I've got-
oh,
No, that's okay.
okay, when we're done, I'll give it back to you. Okay, yeah, for sure.
The extent of what I do is I go.
I thought you meant like on here right now. It's okay,
Yeah.
Just do like a little.
we're good. Thank
We're
you.
good.
Friday.
We are so good.
Friday night spotlight, night feature.
Hey.
Business.
This is Sunny.
Hi, I'm Sunny. I'm new to the planning board.
Welcome, I'm
Thank you.
Juliet.
Nice to
Hi.
meet
It's on.
you. Nice to meet
You too.
Yeah, come on, sit down somewhere.
Any seat you want.
Right in the center of the action.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
right in the middle, right in the middle. I tend to spread.
That's okay.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you. We have one more coming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys got some new people.
Well, full house.
Yeah. Yeah, neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gardening neighbor.
Oh, gardening, huh?
Yeah.
And they
No joke.
Sweet.
We live on 3 different roads though.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
I'm certain. My lap can't handle all my stuff.
Bell.
The awkward
Ding.
seconds.
Hey, mine's at 6:30.
Okay, all right. We ready to go?
Yep.
All right. So welcome to the February 3rd meeting of the Durham Planning Board. This is rescheduled from, normally this happens on Wednesdays, but we were lacking a quorum, possibly lacking a quorum. So we moved it up to tonight, Tuesday. Thank you all for making the adjustment to the calendar. Roll call, Alan Farrington, Juliet Keppinger,
Mhm.
Ryan Stickney, and a new member,
Sunny do.
Sun Shu.
小叔
Shu
do.
Du.
Mm.
Okay, thank you. And myself, Brian Lanwa, I'm the chair. So we have a quorum, and let's start by standing for the theme song to Gilligan Time. I mean, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so our agenda tonight, acceptance of meeting minutes from last month's meeting, informational exchange on non-agenda items, continuing business, new business, other business. Any amendments? I know I have a couple. Any amendments to the agenda from any of the board members?
I don't.
Okay, one amendment is to introduce Xiao Shu. And there's a quick discussion about her involvement here tonight. Her?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'd like to discuss roles for our new member and the alternate member at the end of the meeting, if that's okay with you all. And then the other addition I have is George had come up with a weather policy for cancellations of meetings and due to inclement weather. And I'd like to talk about that at the end of the meeting, if that's okay with
Yes.
everyone. Sure. Okay.
Can I make one suggestion?
Sure.
With Sunny here now at the table, should we talk about who's going to be voting or talking about the applications in front of us today?
Exactly, that's the
Yeah.
first.
So we're going to talk
quick
about that
introdu-
early.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
great. Thanks.
So we do have a quorum with our regular members, our elder members. And so I think, and if everybody's okay with this, I think, is it Sunny, what do you prefer?
Yeah, I go by Sunny.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if you would refrain from voting tonight
Okay.
and just have fun listening
Yeah.
to what's happening.
I'm glad.
All right. And then at the end of the meeting, we'll talk about your, voting
Mhm.
and participation at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds good.
we're 28 pages shy of 500 pages to review tonight. So there's a little bit to go
Yeah.
through. I'm sure it's a bit overwhelming. I think you were just appointed 2, 3, 4 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool. Do we need to vote on that? Nope. All right. Okay, acceptance of the meeting acceptance of the meeting minutes from January 14th. Any comments from the board?
Looks accurate to me.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented from January 14th.
A second.
All in favor?
Do you have a comment?
There's one correction on that. It does say January 14th, 2025.
Oh,
Need to
oops.
correct the year.
Catch.
As amended.
That'll happen for 2 months.
Seconded as amended. All in favor? As amended?
Good.
All right. Okay, Mr. Thabarge, if you'd like to roll into the informational exchange on non-agenda items.
So as we've discussed, I do now excuse me, include my monthly report to the town manager and select board, which lists pretty much all of the work program that I'm involved in. And in addition to that, we did receive notice of the grant application that we sent to the Maine Resiliency Program to do an economic development study. And it's not official yet in terms of an announcement from Augusta, but we have been notified that the town will be eligible for that money. So over the next year, we're gonna be taking a look at a potential area to do an economic development district, working with the Greater Portland Council of Governments. So that's gonna be coming forward, so.
Great, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good news.
All right, next, summary of the Ivy Ridge site walk.
Members of the public might want to comment as well at that time for the public comment. If
Oh, right.
any item,
Yeah.
any item not on the agenda, they can, the residents and non-residents.
Sorry, I'm still
Yeah.
new to this. Any public comment on non-agenda items? No.
I gotta go, Pat.
Okay. Thank you, George. Okay. Got it. Any non-residents which you to have public comment? Awesome. Okay. Summary of the site walk. That Ms. Kaplinger did not join. Any comments on that? I'm just busting.
It was quite cold.
It was quite cold. The snow was pretty deep.
It was cold. Thank you very much for writing that up, Brian.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Sure. So, yeah, the applicant's representative, Mr. Burgess, gave us a updated plan, slightly updated, with a slight change to the road configuration. As stated here, we walked the center line of the road. It seems like several years ago, I don't know when it happened, but a lot of the property had been harvested. So doesn't entirely meet the purpose or the spirit of the cluster subdivision. It looks like there's gonna be some weird tracks of open land that weave their way through the house lots, but not much we can do about what happened in the past. So I guess we're looking forward to their next submission in the future.
What was that? Can I say something?
Motion to.
Great. We live next door. We weren't actually notified of this site walk.
It's a different subdivision.
Oh, it's a different one? Okay. All right.
Ivy Ridge,
No,
Ivy Ridge.
sorry, honey.
That's okay. Ivy Ridge Cluster Subdivision is on Newell Brook Road,
Okay,
something that came before us a couple of months ago.
okay. I'm
You're-
having a hard time hearing you guys.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's.
All right, I will
okay.
try to project. It would have been much worse if you were here last month. My voice was almost nil. But anyhow, okay.
Motion to accept.
The site minutes, okay.
I'll make a motion to accept it as.
Second.
All in
Do I
favor?
vote even though I wasn't there?
No.
All in favor? Thank you.
I'll take it.
Don't let that happen again.
I won't. I won't.
Okay. New business, completeness review of a preliminary plan application of Durham Heights subdivision at 439 Quaker Meeting House Road, map 2, lot 60. Public comment will not be taken during this discussion. George, would you like to start off with your comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the applicant is here before you tonight for a preliminary subdivision plan for a project known as Durham Heights. They are proposing an 18 lot cluster subdivision on the southwest side of Quaker Meeting House Road. You did conduct a sketch plan on this project back in November on the 5th, and then you followed that with a site walk on November 5th, 16th. I have included within the packet a checklist that I filled out based on the applicant's information. It's basically the first 3 pages of the full checklist. The applicant filled it out as well from their review and perspective. And I did go through that. The board, ultimately, you are the ones that determine completeness. And before you do move forward with any substantive discussion, it's important that you first make a determination of whether they have met the submission requirements, which theoretically gives you all the information you need to make a decision on this application. Now, it does not mean that you cannot request additional information, but what it does is it gets you over a threshold of completeness, which then starts a clock, calendar clock ticking that you have within 30 days. If you're going to hold a public hearing, you would schedule that tonight if you determine it's complete. And then you'll have 60 days total to make a decision on this application, either to approve it with conditions, or to deny the application based on what you have before you tonight and any additional information that you may, as a board majority, determine is necessary to confirm compliance with the criteria and standards of the subdivision regulations. So last time we did this, we kind of morphed into substantive discussion, and I know it's tempting to do that, but basically it's very important that you segregate the 2 discussion parts. And this is just simply, have they submitted everything on the checklist, not to determine whether it's valid or not in your minds in terms of making the case. It's just that they have completed an application that you can now start reviewing. So for this part of it, you can discuss whether you as board members consider that it's complete, and then a simple motion to determine that the application is complete is adequate, and we will send a notice of complete application. Or if you determine that it's not complete, then we will issue a letter of incompletion, and you need to list what it is they have not submitted that's required by the ordinance. And we will then list that in the letter of determination that the application is not complete. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. So let's roll through this review checklist.
Do you want an
Would
updated?
you please state your name? who you
Joseph
are?
Martin with Sightlines, here on behalf of the applicant. Do you want me to run through, because there have been some updates, or is that kind of part of the next step after completeness review? I don't know if you want my presentation now or later, or whatever works for you.
No, I think
my recommendation would be to just determine that it's complete or
Yep.
not. If there are things that were noted
Yep.
in the planning agenda notes that you would like to submit, we can do that now. But if it's just a matter of addressing substantive issues of the project, they're gonna make this determination
Okay.
first.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Any questions from the board on the application?
Yeah, I have one. So on the staff notes, under C7, it says there's a waiver requested for a proposed water supply for firefighting and domestic use, but on the actual application, I don't see a waiver. It's just a typo.
Yeah, where did you see that?
In the staff notes, C.7 says there's a waiver requested.
I thought I fixed that. You're correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there is.
I
no-
searched,
there
searched,
is
I
no
couldn't find it.
waiver
Okay,
request.
good.
Thank you.
There is none.
No, they're proposing to put in a fire
Yeah, it's
department.
120,000 gallon.
Okay.
Yeah.
The chair, there's one item, it appeared prior to looking at this, that there was a member of the public that was concerned about an item. And just to educate the public on what our process is, usually the planning board, we have the option of having a public hearing, something like this. There's some people who may not be aware of that, and I just want to make the public that are here tonight aware that odds are we will have a public hearing, and then they can make their comments at that public hearing.
Thank you, Alan. Exactly. No public comment will be taken tonight, and we'll have to schedule that at the next time the applicant submits. For some reason I have a note regarding well exclusion zones. 100 foot from septic systems. Need to look into
The
this.
existing structure, maybe?
Um,
We weren't sure what was gonna happen with that.
maybe, right, yeah.
There's
no,
gonna
I
be
do-
left in place or,
Those
guess,
are,
and then-
those are shown on the plans.
Okay. Okay, so the point is that they're shown on the plans, whether or not they're correct is next.
Right.
Yes, again, that's a substantive
That's-
issue.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, those are test pits.
I don't have any other comments regarding the checklist.
I do. So this may be substantive, and if it is, then that's fine, we can wait, but, C2, documentation of legal rights to develop. So I think we have some questions on that, so,
We do.
Okay, so is
and
that-
The applicant has submitted as required a deed.
okay,
I have raised some staff note questions on the substantive track
Okay.
that need to be clarified.
okay.
So I think that could wait until the substantive discussion.
So we
They
would say that what they submitted checks the complete
checks it,
box.
that's correct.
Okay, okay,
Yep.
great, thank you.
Mhm.
That's all I had.
Thank you, Juliet. All right, so I think we're ready to make a motion on whether or not the checklist is complete.
I would make a motion that we accept the application as complete.
second,
Now that I'm noticing this, getting back to your earlier observation, this is dated 1/22/2025.
Yeah. Usually takes me about till August.
Maybe February, we'll have 26.
Right.
the application does say 2026 though.
It's easy to do.
There, see.
They're a year ahead of the curve. What's the problem?
You have to-
Yeah, we're a year
You're
behind.
looking at our
The
stuff.
actual,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they can be deficient. Okay, all in favor?
Mm.
Thank you. All right, let's get into substantive discussion. And Mr. Thabarge, if you wouldn't mind walking us through your notes.
Yeah, I'll kind of set the stage and then the applicant indicated their interest in updating the board on their application. So as we said, they are proposing an 18-lot cluster. And in the sketch plan stage, they had proposed 13 lots. And one of the issues that was discussed at the sketch plan was the fact that one of the lots was 11 acres in size, and it included the easement for all the open space. And so we were looking at, what is the plan for this? It looked like it was eventually going to be extended. So were they proposing a phase subdivision? And this application for preliminary approval actually goes forward and proposes 18 lots with the recognition that this will kick them into DEP site location. And so they've acknowledged that they will be required to go for that process. Doesn't really affect the town's review, but that is just a difference from the sketch plan stage, which is fine. Another issue that was discussed at sketch plan was the fact that the proposed road came very close to Collins Lane, Collins Way, I think it's called, which is that subdivision, which comes right to the, almost to the property boundary of this tract. And so under the land use regulations, the ordinance requires the board to look at interconnections with abutting parcels, and when that subdivision was reviewed, that was a criterion that went to the property line. So does not require this applicant to extend the road to make a connection, but it does at least require a paper street so that at some point in the future, distant future, if the town or the properties ever want to make a connection, they can. It could be developed for a pedestrian connection in the meantime between the two subdivisions if the two associations think that that would be beneficial. But what it does is it plans for the future, and that's a requirement of the ordinance, and they are showing it on their plan going to that future connection.
If I may, the one issue that arises with that is Collins Way is a town approved subdivision and the town maintains that road. And all the subdivisions that we approve now are maintained by the subdivider. So we would be looking at a town road being connected to a non-town road, and I think there'd be a lot of debate about that.
I'm sure there would be. There would be debate just making the connection. Most towns, it's almost impossible to get away from dead end streets. But what this is doing is it's looking into the future, 50, 100 years from now, because there are situations all through Maine, southern Maine in particular, where you've got subdivisions that are a stone's throw from each other.
Right.
And school buses and other service vehicles have to wind their way back and forth, where from a transportation planning standpoint, they call them loops and lollipops, the street layout versus a grid where transportation is. And again, practically, it's very difficult to accomplish that, but at least you're making some step to at least try to plan for the future. So the other issue that I identified was that the applicant, according to the deed submitted, has already split the parcel between the 17 acres on the end, which is proposed to be retained by the previous owner. And then the rest of the project is going to be divided into the lots and the open space. And I think there is a question. I'm not sure exactly what the resolution of it is, whether or not I had assumed that was a landlocked parcel that was created, which would be a problem. But in reading the deed, I noticed that they do retain a right of, the owner did retain a right of way along the alignment of this proposed road if the subdivision is ever approved. So I think there's some just legal potential snags in this that need to be resolved. And I did bring this up at the pre-application meeting in terms of, is that land to be retained part of the subdivision or not part of the subdivision? The applicant in their submission state that it's not part of the subdivision, but it shows on the subdivision plan. So I don't know what the legal resolution of those issues are, but I think it's something that needs to be looked at. Also, even with the proposed layout, it only has 50 feet of frontage on the road. And I don't think that you can approve a subdivision with a non-conforming lot in it.
Right.
Section 6.22 says all lots in the subdivision are required to meet all zoning standards, which that does not. Again, the applicant may take the position that's not part of the subdivision, so it's exempt from that requirement. My recommendation is you get some legal input, primarily from the applicant if they want to make that case, and then you can have it peer reviewed by the town attorney to determine whether the town attorney thinks that it's valid. And it may well be. It may well be valid on the access, all points could be covered, but right now, I just think there's some legal threshold issues of right title and interest. And then right on that same track, the land is shown on the subdivision plan. The owner of that property has deeded part of it to the applicant, giving them right title and interest to part of it. But it's shown on the subdivision plan, so in some way, shape or form, the owner of that 17-acre parcel whose land is being included, you could assume that because they gave the deed and they knew and it's all it referenced, but again, just cleaning up all of this will be really helpful for everybody. If a code officer, when somebody comes in to issue a building, apply for a building permit for lot 17, title attorneys, when they're looking at the future transfers, it's very important to just have all these legal T's crossed and I's dotted. And I did have Devin check the abutters that were listed in the notification, and he did confirm that they were accurate. The applicant has submitted in the cover letter a point-by-point response to each of the subdivision standards. And we can use that as the basis of findings of fact when you get to that point. So as you go forward tonight, you should look at the applicant's justification for meeting all of the standards and just determine as a board at this point whether you consider that they've made a good case and it's supported by the application. And I did include in the packet some draft conditions of approval, which in combination with the applicant's testimony and submissions, as well as any public comment that you may receive at your public hearing. When they come before you, if you grant preliminary approval, they would then apply for final. They must do that within 6 months of any preliminary approval. They can get an extension, and then they would put their final plan together with state permits, with peer review. And so at this point, you're just looking to make a preliminary determination of whether you think this application can meet the subdivision standards as proposed or not. So as I said, if you decide to hold a public hearing, you can have a discussion. You can go down through all of the checklist and or the applicant's response to the checklist criteria. Or you can table it until you get to the public hearing. I'd be happy to answer any question.
Any questions or comments on George's summary? No, okay. I see attached to the agenda also is our site walk record from when that occurred. Any comments on that?
Sorry, what, can you repeat that, Brian?
Attached is the summary of our site walk.
Oh,
So, should we let the applicant?
Yep.
Yeah.
Come up and give their presentation?
Yep. I'll just hold it.
All right, I'll introduce myself again. My name is Joe Martin. I'm a Sightlines. I'm a civil engineer. And I'm here on behalf of the applicant to introduce the project and let you know what we've moved forward from our pre-app sketch plan. Okay, next slide. So the project team hasn't changed since we were here for pre-app. StoneX Construction is the applicant, Sightlines is the engineer and surveyor of record for the plans, and then Mainly Soils was the wetland biologist who did the wetland delineation and then also did the test bits for the septic systems. We are also working with, for DP purposes, we are working with a geologist and another entity who are creating some additional maps for us, but that's not relevant to the town process. So the review process, obviously from the town standpoint, there's sketch, preliminary, and final. We're here tonight for a preliminary. The DEP, we did, as George noted, we did increase the number of lots from 14 to 18. And that was just based on the discussion we had at the sketch plan meeting. Some of the board members kind of were wondering why we just didn't move forward with the full 18. At the site walk, that was also brought up. And then so I talked further with the applicant. We decided to just do it all at once. And what it really does is it just slows down the permitting process. If we had stuck with the 14 lots and got approval, we could potentially have started work this late summer, early fall. With the site law process, it's most likely not going to be able to start this construction until next spring, just based on the lengthy process that DEP takes on these. We are impacting a little over 11,000 square feet of wetlands as part of this project. So that does require a NRPA Tier 1 wetlands alteration permit. That will be submitted with the site law permit with DEP, and that will get approved at the same time as the site law permit. The last one is a main construction general permit. That is filed after everything is in place, all the permits are in place, and then I think it's 2 or 3 weeks before you start construction, you file a permit with the DEP with the contractor who is going to be doing the site work. And that's primarily just tied to the erosion control to make sure the contractor understands the erosion control requirements. And there's some ability for DEP to kind of have a last review at the erosion control before construction begins.
Is it okay if we ask?
Yeah,
a question? Is that
certainly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So you expect to receive this FLOTA maybe a year from now?
Yeah, I mean, they have 3 weeks to accept it, and then I think they have somewhere 200, it's 200 plus days for acceptance and then we have been running they've reached the end of their regulatory deadline, and then they can just request an extension.
Yeah.
And if they say, if we don't accept it, then they just reject the permit and then send it back to us. So we have to accept the extension. So,
Great.
Ideally it's going to be that, but it could take, I mean, I'm dealing with one where it was supposed to be approved last June and I still haven't gotten it yet.
Wow.
Hopefully this project isn't, there's other parameters to that one, but it's just taking very long to get through the DEP at this standpoint.
And that'll be the first one, the big one. And then like you were saying, I think everything else is gonna fall behind it.
Yeah, when there's 2 permits with DEP, like a site law and NRPA permit, they hold those together and they issue them at the same time.
Which
They'll actually
makes
be
sense.
they'll be written into the same
Yeah.
permit.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And the main construction general permit, that's separate, so that'll be after.
Okay, thank you.
And then the Army Corps of Engineers, because of the amount of wetland impact, will require a general permit from them as well. One point that they will require is because there's more than 5,000 square feet of wetlands impact, there will be a wetlands alteration fee that'll need to be paid into the state fund. It's based approximately $5 to $6 per square foot. So the 11,000, you're looking at $60,000+ in lieu fee that we are required to pay. And what that does is that goes into a state fund, and that's supposed to be applied to projects within the surrounding area for wetland protection or restoration or number of projects they can use it for.
And when do you expect to get that, or when have you? applied?
Those takes usually around 3 months, and we'll submit those to the Army Corps permit probably around the same time we submit for DEP.
Okay,
So, we might get that in early summer.
okay.
But again, they don't have any regulatory deadlines, so they can take as long as they want.
Yeah, in my experience, they are taking quite a bit of time right now.
And it's kind of interesting because the general permit they're on right now phases out in the springtime, and now there's a nationwide permit that goes into place. So I don't know how that's going to work if you have a permit in the review process. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but there's some.
Okay. And the impacts to wetlands hasn't changed from the last time, or has it?
We hadn't calculated it last time.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
it'd be around 10,000 square feet
Yeah.
and ended up a little bit north of 11,000.
Okay.
There were
Okay.
some wetlands with the stormwater systems and things like that we
Okay.
need to account for.
Thank you.
Yep. The project is located in the rural residential and agricultural zoning district. Anyone that's on the site walk knows that the property right now is just one single family residence. The rest of it's primarily wooded. There's some areas that have been cleared or kind of scrub brushy or meadow type growth. So the project includes a new roadway, one road coming off Quaker Meeting House Road, 18 single-family lots. As George noted, there is land in the rear of the property that's going to be retained by the previous owner. And then the majority of the property is going to be maintained as open space, a little under 45 acres. Each lot is going to have its own private well, private septic system. We are also extending underground power with the road, and that will come all the way to the end of the roadway. And we've extended it all the way off the edge of the road. So if there's ever an extension of the road, which I don't think there ever would be, but there's ability to tie into that underground power. And then the biggest change from the last one was we have finalized all of the grading design, roadway design, and the stormwater management system, which includes, and I'll show you on the plans here, but includes a number of wooded buffers between the lots and the down grading of the lots. It also includes a number of grass under drain soil filters, which are what you'd call stormwater ponds. And then a few of the lots will require a roof drip line filter around the buildings. I think there's 2 of the lots that will have, pretty much think of a crushed stone area around the perimeter of the building that will collect the roof runoff and allow it to soak into the ground. Next slide. So this is the aerial. Quaker Meeting House Road is running kind of southeast to northwest. You can see that CMP corridor that cuts right along the north side of the property, and the site is located right in that wooded area just south of that CMP right away. This is the existing conditions plan. I know this came up at the sketch plan, but I want to show it here as well. So there, that area that's kind of the orange hatched is the 5 acres of, what's it called, prime farmland, I believe it's called. And that's just a requirement of the ordinance to map those locations. So you can kind of see it, it's majority of the kind of the middle portion of the property. There's a good chunk of it that's located within the open space that would be preserved.
Just getting back to existing conditions.
Yep.
During our site walk, there were quite a few stone walls throughout the property that are not located here. And we'll need to see that and how they're impacted. I think we crossed at least 3 or 4 just walking through the center line of the road. And then there were some that were observed to the, if it were looking at plan north. Anyhow.
Yeah, there's a good chunk of the property line itself is delineated by a stone wall, especially on the north side, and that little line that's going kind of on this one. This isn't north, but kind of going north to south on this plan. But yeah, there are some stone walls I know around where the building is, kind of just below where the existing building is. I'd have to see if our survey guy shot those in the field or not. But is it a requirement to locate stone walls? It is. Okay.
And also be aware of section 5.14 that talks about if the stone walls, I think, are more than 100 years old, there are special standards for relocating them or something. So you might just want to take a look at, I think it's 5.14.
Okay.
Historic. Good with that?
Yep. So this is the overall new subdivision layout. The location of the roadway and the lots are pretty much the same as you saw previously. There were some minor changes. The biggest change is at the end of the road, lots 15, 16, 17, and 18. That is primarily what the previous lot 14 was. So that has been split into 4 additional lots. As George noted, there is that paper street that extends out to Collins Way, and it's kind of tough to tell with the hatching on this one, but you'll see around the property, especially on the lower end of the roadway, lots 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, all have 54-foot, minimum 54-foot wooded buffers A lot of them have them between the properties and then on the down gradient side of it. And what that is that's a DEP stormwater best management practice, and it's based on the soil type and the cover, whether it's either meadow or forested. These are primarily forested, and I believe it's a soils classification B. And so the intent is that the stormwater coming off those developed areas, the houses, the lawns, would flow from that into these wooded buffers, and they would be treated by the time they reach the end of that 54-foot path out of the buffer. To answer a couple of questions that were brought up, the land retained by owner, it's kind of a quirky thing. So even though it's not part of the subdivision, because it was transferred within 5 years of the subdivision moving forward, it falls under a special classification of land that is not considered a subdivision lot, but it has to be shown on the subdivision plan, because if the owner sells that land within the next 5 years, then it needs to be included in the subdivision plan. And that gets into a whole legal mess, which won't happen because she's not planning to sell the next 5 years. But it's not counted towards the subdivision threshold for state subdivision law. And that goes for if you, the owner retains the land, or you can transfer land to a direct abutter. That also doesn't count as a lot. And there's some other exemptions as well. So the question about the frontage talk about the proposed layout. So as it's currently designed, the land retained by owner only has a 50-foot of frontage on the end of the road. What we did is that hatched area at the very end of the roadway it says area to be conveyed to land retained by owner, and that's a little over an acre. And that is 150 feet of frontage on that roadway. So that is what is intended to get that property frontage on the subdivision road.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in that area, isn't that where you're proposing a fire pond?
Yes. Yep. So there'll be a drainage easement on that 150 foot of frontage. So it provides the legal frontage, but the actual driveway access will mostly come off the end of the roadway for that land retained by owner.
Can you show, does anyone have a thing?
No.
Can we show where you're talking, the 150 feet, exactly where that is?
Right there.
Yes.
But just that first
check.
square, the rectangle, not the second one, right? We're just talking,
Right, the
there's
second one isn't on the road at all.
right. So it's just that first part, that's 150 feet. Is that correct?
She's getting a pointer, I think.
Okay. Well, I think that's what I was thinking too, but
Mm,
that piece is 150 feet, that's what he's saying.
That's
Plus maybe the 50 going that way or something. Okay.
So originally that was not going to be remaining.
So the intention is when the property was conveyed, the land to be retained by owner in November. The intention was to leave that 50-foot right of way from there to Quaker Meeting House Road until the subdivision moved forward. And then we would provide the frontage on the roadway that's required. So that's kind of the order of operations that we are intending to do. And I can write up a summary that I can provide to George, and he can run that by.
Yeah, do we want to talk about this now?
Go for it.
Well, yeah. go ahead.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
go ahead.
It appears that what the owner is retaining, that should be within the deed. If you want to meet the 150 feet, or to meet the 300-foot overall for road frontage, that would have to be in her deed, specifically in her deed.
Well, I think so pretend the subdivision doesn't exist and you just have the land retained by owner and you have a 50-foot right of way out to that land. I think you meet the requirements of the backlot requirements of the ordinance. Once you build the subdivision road, then the backlot kind of goes away, and then you have the frontage on the road with 150 feet.
But originally the deed didn't reflect that, correct? where the pond, where the retention pond is going to be.
No, so that will be conveyed as part of the subdivision, the approved subdivision.
As a right of way?
No, where the fire pond is, that would be just conveyed as a piece of land. So that would be combined with the land to be retained by owner.
Right now, it doesn't
Okay.
show that, and so
Right.
we're gonna need a legal description that,
I'll have to get a pointer up there.
Oh, yeah, thank you. That's
'Cause I
helpful.
need to see it. This one?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is this is part of the land to be retained by the
Yes.
owner?
Yep, and you
Is
see
it
that
currently, or is it gonna be transferred?
it's gonna be transferred, and that's that note below. It says area to be conveyed to land retained by owner. About a little over an
And the
acre.
fire pond's gonna be located on this?
Yep, and there's a drainage easement, drainage and access easement over that piece of
So
land.
there will
that's
be
being transferred.
easements on this?
Yes.
To the
So that's the road frontage right there.
Yep, and then the actual driveway access for that land to be retained will come off the end of the road.
Got it.
currently in your calcs, you're not including that 1.03 acres as the land to be retained by owner. You just have the 17 and change. If you.
Yes. Yes, so the land retained by owner on the plan, as it's deeded right now, is 17.4 acres.
So you're including the 1.03 acres in the cluster subdivision right now.
I don't know if I am.
I believe you are.
It's not in
Yeah.
the 17.
But
So I think what we're saying is,
the
to
one
be
point,
retained by the owner, it should include where that retention pond is.
yeah, so it's 18 and whatever it is.
Right.
18.47.
But I don't know that, it doesn't appear that
So
it reflects that.
when I did my net density calculations, the area, the total site area that's included does not include the land retained by owner or the land to be transferred to the land retained by owner. The deed itself, as it currently stands right now, only exists of the 17.4 acres. And then when the subdivision is approved, as part of the approval process, that 1 acre of land will be transferred to the land retained by owner.
All right, so that's something that you have adjusted, because right now you're pulling out only 17.44. You need to include the 1.3.
Oh, you're talking about the area in front of you there?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the net
Cluster
resident.
subdivision.
Yeah.
because all these calcs need to be correct to.
But if you look at so you look at the remaining land that it has, and it says 76.77 acres.
Yep.
When you go down to the net residential density calculations, the site area is 75.73. So, and I can update that note 3 to better explain that, but it has been taken out of the calculation for both number 8, the net residential, and number 11, which is the open space.
All right.
But I see what you're saying now. It's not clearly delineated there on note 3. Want me to keep moving forward, and then if you want, we can go back and discuss that further.
Yeah, I mean, what I was just gonna say is, repeat what George said, in his notes, is recommend that, I could just read this, for everybody, recommendation continues to be a requirement that the applicant submit a legal opinion confirming that the applicant is clear right, title, and interest to apply, and or that the proposed frontage for the land retained by the prior owner will meet the ordinance requirements. And then we have that reviewed by our legal team. That's my recommendation as well. I agree with that. So we can talk further now or come back.
Well, we're not gonna approve a non-conforming.
Correct, right, so this,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that would be a
This
condition.
is,
Wouldn't it be a condition, George?
It could be, yeah.
well, yeah,
You
could be a
have-
condition, but do we want to get too far down? Like,
Well, I think that if we establish that as a condition, I would say it would solve that problem.
it's a condition that they provide the legal opinion, or it's a condition that the issue is figured out and dealt with? Like, because,
Well,
Probably a
clearly they're
combination
gonna
of
have
both.
to come up with a solution, and they've proposed a solution.
Yeah.
Question is, does it pass legal muster?
right, so I guess is it
Right.
on us now then?
Well,
We haven't-
I think you can put it on the applicant. They're proposing this scheme to comply, but it's not clear that it does in terms of the sequencing of these things. And I disagree that 17 acres meets the back lot requirements. I don't think it does.
Okay, so what's our plan to go forward on this?
I think we roll through this and determine whether or not we approve the preliminary.
Oh, okay, so include, okay,
Yeah, you could make that a
Okay.
condition for final approval that they submit a legal opinion confirming what they, lay out
Yeah.
that scheme.
Okay, I got you.
Of the
Yep.
sequencing of this,
Yeah.
and their attorney says, yes, this meets all the requirements of the ordinance, and here's where it meets it.
okay. Makes sense.
I might have several other comments on this particular plan. Um, there are portions in the resource protection area that are in the open space that are not in your calcs. Right here in the lower right corner. Those need to be considered in calcs for cluster subdivision.
Which ones are you referring to?
Right down here in the lower, there's a small section that's in resource protection that's
So-
not listed there.
So that area, it's kind of an order operations thing, and I always do wetlands first because that's usually the largest segment. So you don't double subtract areas. So you take out the wetlands, and then you just take out steep slopes, what I did, and then you look at other areas. So the inland waterfowl and wading bird habitat area is all wetlands down there. So it's already been taken out of the calculations.
I just don't see that in your table because it looks like this
It
is
does look like
also
a piece of it
resource
comes out.
protection right in here, I believe.
But again, that's already been taken out because it's all wetlands.
Yeah, I don't think you have to double dip. So you're saying this
I
little
see.
area right here?
I
Yep.
see what you're saying,
So he's
Yeah.
saying it's already included in the wetlands.
because it is a
It's
wetland.
deducted.
That's why
And
that's.
you don't have to deduct it twice because it's over.
Now, a lot of times, like if you look
Understood.
up, if you
Yeah.
look on the right side of that habitat area, you have some upland area. If that was not as part of the land retained by owner, we would take that area out separately because it's upland over there. Because that's separate, but we've already deducted that from the site area. And like same with the steep slopes, like there's a small portion of steep slopes that goes over the wetland area. And we just only subtract out the steep slopes that aren't part of already the wetland area that we've deducted.
Thank you for the introduction to that.
Yes.
Because, steep slopes cannot be within the building envelope. So for instance, here, I believe I'm too close to the screen here, but these are your setback lines. There's a building envelope here. Steep slopes cannot be within the building envelope, nor can wetlands.
I had that as a note as well.
Yeah, and they can be within the lot,
just
yeah,
but
the
not
building.
within the building envelope.
So, and the way I interpreted that is so the ordinance requires when you go to cluster, you can obviously your lot size goes down to 45,000 square feet. And then as I read it, you're still required to provide the 40,000 square feet of contiguous buildable area. And that's when I was doing that, I was not including any of those steep slopes within that contiguous building area.
But there's a building envelope that has setbacks.
Yeah.
And the
So you're just saying the setbacks would need to be reduced to outside of those steep slope areas.
And the wetlands.
and wetlands, yeah.
Yeah, well, the wetlands themselves, those have a setback associated with them.
They can't be within the building envelope.
Right.
Which is the
See if I can
setbacks.
See another,
These are your building
Are you
envelopes, right?
talking lot 8, for example?
Yes.
That's your building envelope.
well, it's not because, is this the building envelope line? Is this a
No,
setback line?
that's
That's a
a 100-foot setback from the.
So
Well,
this is a
right, or
wetland?
this-
Yes.
So you need a setback from the wetland.
Can you go to the next slide? Sorry.
This is it.
What section is that, Brian? Do you remember in the ordinance?
Eight.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there are actually several different provisions that apply here.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I had a note, but I didn't write it down on like which.
let's see what it is. Okay, so you have section 4.1 A1A, which establishes that every lot, whether it's cluster or conventional, has to have a contiguous area of at least 40,000 square feet that does not have wetland, steep slopes, resource protection. So basically, if you had a 2-acre lot and 80% of it is wetland, you can't say we'll get 2 acres.
Yep.
You have to have at least 1 acre of good dry ground that's not restricted, buildable land. Okay, then there is within the cluster criteria, that's in section 6.33, it talks about uses building envelope is used there as well. And then there's a definition of building envelope. So the question is, and I shared with Brian earlier today, some AI analysis, just kind of trying to put it all together. And basically what the applicant's case is that each of those lots has a contiguous buildable area, building envelope, not including the wetlands and the steep slopes, that there's at least 40,000 square feet. Now, I think part of that, and Joe, you can weigh in, does the board consider that, you know, this is ledge that's, or excuse me, steep slope, 20%, I'm assuming?
Yes,
On-
20%
on
or
this
greater.
lot.
Yep.
So they've got this over here and they've got this over here that's not part of it. Theoretically, you could put a driveway connection and put a garage up here or something. Or build a house up here. So the question is that contiguous?
Can we just look at, what section is this? 6.33.
Yep.
B8, right?
Right.
Suitable building sites. No building site in the cluster development shall be located on slopes steeper than 20%, within 100 feet of any water body, or 50 feet of any wetland, or on soil classified as being very poorly drained.
Yeah, and this has come up, you know, this is our third cluster within the past 6 months or so.
Mhm.
And the same, we've been making the same comment to every developer and, yeah, the building envelope.
So that
should- the se-
that language was building site. So I guess question is
No building.
the building site, like this
Hmm.
plan right here shows the building locations?
Right,
Is that the building envelope or is that the building site?
What's a building site? Do we have a definition?
Well, I think it's where you cite the building.
Oh, so yes, you're right. It's not building envelope, it's building site.
In that particular provision. So the
Okay.
question is, do they have 40,000 square feet building envelope area out, you know, at least 40,000 square feet contiguous? And then do the building sites, are they located, like, you could have the 40,000 square feet, but locate the building on the steep slope. You can't do that.
I see.
So these things all work together to determine, number one, does the lot itself meet the requirements? And then is where they're proposing to put the building on the lot is the requirement.
additionally, in the spirit of what a cluster subdivision is retaining most all or the better part of the natural characteristics of this overall site. I think that needs to be considered as well.
I don't know if this answers any of your questions,
Yeah.
but we do show, and it doesn't show up in these plans just due to the clarity. But we do show setbacks from the wetlands, the 50-foot setback. I don't have a note here, but we could certainly add one that, you know, no buildings can be located on steep slopes as identified on the maps or whatever. I didn't include a note that said that, but that could definitely be added. I mean, that's not a major deal.
Yeah, it'd be great to have a definition of building site.
So you may recall,
We have a
We have building
definition of
envelope.
envelope.
We have building.
Yeah, to me, the site is the lot. The envelope is when you exclude the, when you use the setbacks.
So you're saying the
Then-
site's bigger than the envelope?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, then,
no, the building site is smaller than the envelope. The envelope is everywhere it could be.
what we
No,
were
I
just
don't-
talking about is the structure is the site, right? Like the house.
But that would be one interpretation.
One interpretation.
The
One,
house, the grading around the house, that's the building site. Now,
To me,
Go
this
ahead.
is 12 is the site.
hmm,
Then you take out the setbacks
mhm.
and what you're left with
Mhm.
is the envelope.
Where you could build.
Where you
Right,
could
Right,
build.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's my opinion. And if you want to get a legal opinion, you may, but that's how I interpret it, is a site is the other four, let's call it 4 edges of the lot, but the envelope is what you take out of the setbacks.
and in this, you have the building envelopes defined as that solid line inside of the lot, right? That's your building envelope?
The building envelope would be any areas that are outside of those areas that are.
I just mean
whether
like,
it's-
this is your building envelope right there. That's right there, 6, right?
Well, that solid line is the buffer, is the wooded buffer.
Oh, okay, where's your,
how about lot 8?
okay, look at that
This-
one.
This is outside the 50-foot setback, I assume.
Yes.
So where's your building envelope? Right there.
So the envelope would be anywhere inside of that, or outside of that, the hatched area. Like, you know, you see the septic test pit there.
So these are wetlands, right?
Yep.
So then there needs to be a setback from this wet. That's this.
But again, you can't see it, but there is a 50-foot setback from those wetlands for the buildings.
You have building envelope on here defined?
We have the setbacks associated with the side, the front, the rear, and the wetlands. I remember mentioned wetlands. And then like the setbacks where a setback interacts with a like a wetland or a steep slope, then we terminate the setback location of there, so you can't locate buildings within that area. Another alternative is we could add like a 5-foot setback line to those steep slopes just to provide some, you know, space off of those. So the building
I don't think that.
envelope
that
would be
complies
anywhere
with the-
within those setback areas.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that's the intent of the ordinance.
On Deer Creek Crossing, there were a couple of lots that had quite a bit of wetlands. They barely squeaked the 40,000 contiguous. And there was concern that the development of those lots, as constrained as they were, would end up eventually getting wetland fill. And you may recall that for those lots, you required an actual site plan for the individual home
Yes.
sites. And that might be an option on some of these questionable lots to actually have a site plan for the lot that the planning board would approve to verify that it meets the requirements as they're gonna build it. And then if they wanted to change that, they could come back for an amended subdivision. So if any of these lots are particularly questionable, like I think lot 10, Brian, you're struggling with, and whatever other ones, you could, again, assuming you get over the hurdle of how do you interpret building envelope, building site, and you may need some legal assistance in making those interpretations. But if you get over that to say, yes, it can meet the ordinance, but it really makes a big difference where the house is put, you could actually approve a site plan, like you do a commercial site plan for those particular lots, and make that a requirement of the subdivision application.
And would it be an option as well, again, if the board chose to have that pushed down to the code enforcement level? We deal with a lot of stuff with municipalities where those type of individual site plans for lots get as part of the building permit process, they'll submit a site plan that's then reviewed by code enforcement.
Well, again, you don't have to have the construction plans. You just have to have the grading site, you know, where is the home site? And so, for example, is it gonna be pushed right up against the ledge? Or, you know, you would do a site plan to show where the building's gonna be built on that. And the planning board could delegate that to the code officer or not.
Would you be able to show that, like, say, lot 7, like, on a grading plan, like, cutting out the hill, make it flat?
Well, that gets back to, Mr. Lenoy's concern that the purpose of clustering is to preserve site features.
Right.
And the board may or may not approve it depending on what it looks like.
7's a great example.
I'm just saying, if a developer, not
Could you just
necessarily me,
say who you are, please?
Max Cuddy, owner of StoneX.
Thank you.
If a developer sold a lot down the road, say to somebody else, and they wanted to put their house up on the hill or vice versa, and the site work company comes in and makes that.
Well, I think
Flat,
that's
right.
the reason to have it set out for those lots that the board is concerned about.
Right.
If you have a plan that meets their satisfaction, then they either build it or they come back and try to convince the board that an alternative is acceptable.
Yeah, I sound like a broken record here, but the spirit of cluster is to leave that slope as is.
I guess my question is, typically the reason to avoid steep slopes is because of concerns about erosion or stability. From my standpoint, I don't see a steep slope as a positive feature. Wetlands, vegetation, streams, all that stuff is stuff you want to protect and keep. But I would think the steep slopes, the reason they're not considered quote unquote buildable is because of the concerns related to erosion and stability and things like that. And if you could address that with grading or the retaining walls or whatever you decide to do.
In this case, with the cluster subdivision, we're trying to retain as much of the natural features as possible.
Yeah, I think the natural piece is the key word there.
It is key. It's
Yeah.
totally key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Desirable or not.
yeah, I just keep going back to this, this definition of the building site. And I just, we're not, what is that? Like, do we need a legal opinion on what that is?
Yeah, I don't think your ordinance contains a definition of building site.
Because if the building site is, as you recommended or suggested, that it's larger than the envelope, then this doesn't.
If he's saying it's property line itself, that's what you're saying.
I think I look at it as property site is the property line. The envelope is what you take out of the setbacks, is where you can actually build when you take out setbacks.
But the ordinance says building site.
I would
So-
agree with well, I don't want to call it George's interpretation, but what he said that the site is where the building is actually constructed. Now, when we say site, like we're doing a site plan, yes, that generally refers to the whole thing. But a building site to me infers the site of the building itself.
Okay, so then what's building envelope in your opinion?
The building envelope is where that building site can be located.
Well,
Right, so that's when
we-
you take out the setbacks is where it can be located.
we do have a definition
We
of
all
building
agree on
envelope.
that.
Yeah.
We do have,
with when I'm interpreting it?
That's how I look at it.
Because like if the building site, because I think that says no areas of wetlands or steep slopes can be located within the building site, which I think if you looked at the previous subdivisions that were approved, that was not how that was interpreted. Because you have properties that have wetlands or steep slopes included as part of it.
So doesn't our code enforcement, when they're looking at a building site, before a foundation is even dug, they have to go out and improve where that is located, correct?
Just in terms of setbacks, that's all they look at.
we have to hand in like a plot plan is what you call it.
Right.
When you put in for a building permit, you have to
Mhm.
provide a plot plan and show setback from right of way, the what you're building, your house, attached garage, and then you have to draw in all your setbacks from property lines. You have to show abutting properties, and then we add it to code enforcement. And then, yes, they do come out and make sure that is where you're actually going to, yeah, construct it, yeah.
So why isn't that responsibility on the shoulders of CEO?
Because this is going beyond a conventional home site on a 2 acre lot without subdivision. When you get into subdivision, it gets more scrutiny. There are more parameters such as wetland setbacks. And then cluster is even more scrutiny. And the planning board is delegated to review those issues.
I think what's gonna be very helpful is, if you can just highlight or color, what the buildable land is, whether it's called, building site or building envelope. Just color it and note what's the square footage, and we can review if that meets the code.
Yeah, I keep going back to the definition because and the way I'm reading it is the way we're referring to it, in that what we're trying to do with cluster is that the sites cannot be built on steep slopes, wetlands, poor drained soils. But that is the envelope. I think that was the idea of the ordinance when the ordinance was drafted. I think it was to say that cluster lots cannot be developed where there's wetlands, steep slopes, and poor soils. So even if they show us the setbacks and stuff, I think there's the issue of the definition of a building site. Right here.
I mean, the definition of envelope is to contain other things, right? So the envelope would be the biggest portion in the site.
What's your name?
Sorry, I'm Darren Lebec.
Okay.
Hey, Darren.
Hey.
I'm supposed to be sitting up there.
Oh, hey,
I'm just enjoying the sites. So just by pure definition of the word envelope, but again, I don't know if that's.
Envelope contains the site. Is that what you're
Envelope-
saying?
Envelope is a container.
Okay.
So here's a previously approved cluster subdivision where we talked about this. And here's a building site, wetlands on either site, the setback. This could be wetland or ledge.
Yep.
This is the envelope, is how we discussed it and approved it. And this is again another cluster subdivision. So once you take out the setbacks, that's the envelope. And the envelope cannot contain wetlands or slopes greater than 20%.
Look at that comment right here. This one. 50-foot wetland building site setback. Typical. So again, that's cut out, right? So yeah.
No, you did that.
So we do have those setbacks shown on all the individual lots.
Right, but they're in that you have slopes, steep slopes and wetlands and probably poorly drained soils within the envelopes.
Can we see what you're talking about? Where you showed that?
I don't think you're gonna be able to see the definition needed. I don't know if you can pull up the PDF, maybe that would have better.
That's what that is.
That's the PDF.
Which sheet?
Maybe zoom into like 14 or 16 those lots.
More?
I think that's good. So you can see the dash lines within those individual lots, and those have 50 feet off the wetlands.
Yeah.
So the
Right.
steep slopes themselves.
So right. So that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
So for this lot, is it just this area, like this?
No, so that solid
That's-
dash line you see, that's just the 100-foot setback from the
Those are the setbacks.
from the
But what we're saying is this cannot be within a building envelope.
yeah, I mean, we could add a like a 1 foot setback where that wraps around the perimeter of those to remove those, but those are not considered as part of like the calculation for the 40,000 square feet of contiguous area.
Understood.
Yeah.
Completely understood, but they can't be within the building envelope.
Again, that could either be accomplished with a setback line wrapping around those, or just a note saying no building site
Same
can be
with,
located on.
with seven. Seven's a really good example. It's gonna get tight.
Yeah.
And now that I'm looking at this, so you see where it's actually crossing a roadway. And I'm assuming you're gonna blast that out,
What do you mean it's crossing a roadway?
right? Between 8, 10, 10 and 5,
Yes. It won't be blasted out, no.
just a huge bump.
I do not think these are, any of these are ledge.
So it's a slope, just a slope.
Just a slope. Yeah, I mean, you look at, wells in the vicinity of this and, ledge is approximately like 80 feet down. So I highly doubt there's any ledge out there.
All right, just understand that's important to
Yep.
the whole premise of cluster subdivisions is retaining these natural features.
What about poorly drained soils?
So the poorly drained soils have usually there's different soils classified within the state. Usually
Yep.
it's like peat, that
Yep.
type of stuff.
Yep.
There's nothing in this site that would be classified.
You don't
as
have
that.
any poorly drained soils?
No, not to
Okay.
meet the classification of
Okay.
what there. I mean, I would consider wetlands poorly drained soils,
Yeah.
but those are obviously already mapped on the
Okay.
plans.
Okay, got it. Yeah, thank you.
George, could you pan closer to on the road, the existing road, please? I think George, this may be a question for you, but can this actually happen? Can you have this
60 line.
zone outside of the actual property here and here?
Well, just understand that the well exclusion zone is simply provided to meet the state law setback that you cannot put a septic system within 100 feet of a well. And so what this plan and the requirement of the ordinance is intended to do is to identify on each lot areas where wells cannot be located. That's the intent of it. So it's not extending the rights or responsibilities of this applicant beyond their property line. It's just saying that's the 100-foot. I mean, you could cut that off and not show it on the plan.
It's just
Mhm.
reference sort
Gotcha.
of.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like when as a single, if you own a lot, an undeveloped lot, and you want to put a septic in, and you want to put it right up on the, I think you have to be 20 feet off your property line, 20 or 25 feet. It's up to you to check to make sure there's not a well on your abutting property within that vicinity, So, whether it's this plan or an individual lot, you're still held to that 100-foot setback.
No, thank you.
Yep.
Lot 7. What are do you know are you looked into what the rules are about locating a well or abandoning an existing septic system?
Yeah, I mean, usually you just dig up the septic system. I don't. My guess is that's an old septic system that's probably just stone. I bet. It might just be a pipe that runs out. I looked through the state registry that they have for septic systems. It's not listed there, which is not uncommon for older septic systems. But based on the discussions with the property owner, Max, we approximately know where it's located. And just when they do that, they'll need to just abandon it. I mean, as long as there's no effluent entering it, there's no concern about pollutants from it. I mean, the primary concern we're related to with septic systems is things like nitrates or something like that are flowing out of that while you're putting effluent in there. If there's no effluent going in there, then there's no, it's not like like a landfill that continually leaches stuff over years and years and years. I could reach out to the state department that licenses those and see if they have any language about abandoning those and what's required, if they just say, stop using it.
Well, I assume at some point you'll have an ISDS engineer involved in the project, but, you know, when we performed our site walk, people were living in that house, so
Yep.
they're still effluent.
Yep.
And, you know, Brian had mentioned, brought it up during the site walk that it's just something that raised a little bit, I don't know if it's concern, but just something to bring up and discuss.
Yep.
About what the, how to treat that.
A lot of times what they'll do is pump the septic tank if there is one there, and then just fill it with sand.
The
Or-
leach
or
bed,
pull it out.
yeah, and the leach bed, we've done replacements where you're like, a new septic design is completed on the property and you have an old septic here and say this is where the new septic has to go. It's like a requirement that shows it's a standard size like leach bed, like they're 40 by 60, right? So you can determine that by excavation.
Yep.
And then they're standard, so there's like a foot of stone and then the 6 inches of bedding sand. So when the excavation contractor goes in, they'll be able to mark that area out and know what area and how much fill to remove from that.
Would that be part of your demolition of the existing home?
Yeah, I would say yes. Once the home is demolished, then the old septic will be removed as part of that demolition. I would call that all one thing. Yeah. Then that waste is always, it's actually hauled to a treatment facility in Wiscasset area.
I can get you that exact guidance at the state issues on that.
Perfect. Thank you. So how do we get sidetracked here? Juliet, thank you
Yeah.
for sidetracking us.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
We'll let you continue with your presentation here.
Yep, I think in terms of changes from last time. Oh, go to the 2 slides down. Up one more. Up one more. There you go. So this one. So this is the grading design, which obviously at this scale you can't really see much, but you guys can review the full size plans you have. So as you come along the roadway from Quaker Meeting House Road on the left side, you come in and you see the first grass under drain soil filter located just to the high side of the roadway. And there's go a little bit further. There's another one here. I don't know if your cursor.
Where these,
Yes. So those are 2 grass under drain soil filters. You continue further along the road. Right there, that's the 3rd grass under drain soil filter. And then all the way at the end of the roadway, that's the fire pond. And then on the back side is a much larger under drain soil filter that will collect the stormwater runoff as well. So the design of that end of the roadway is there's a not a huge area, but there's a decent chunk of area that drains to that turnaround area. There's a culvert there that will extend across the road that will discharge into that fire pond that has the 120,000 gallons of fire protection water. And then that will fill up first. And then there's a spillway that will be activated when that reaches a certain elevation. And that will spill over into the soil filter where that water will receive some treatment. And then will under drain out through under drain system that will discharge right to those wetlands right there. So the intent of that is to allow that fire pond to be filled first and allow that to maintain the water that needs to be. There'll also be a dry hydrant as part of that. I actually showed a dry hydrant on that, and I thought some towns require those, sometimes don't. I don't know what you do. Okay, so it does have a dry hydrant there. That will be right off the edge of the roadway that the fire department can connect into and suck out the water they need to for fire protection purposes. So there's also for stormwater, there's a number of wooded buffers like I talked that are either in between two properties or on the down gradient side. And then there's two lots, I believe lot 7 and lot 9, that those houses will have those roof drip line filters. And those are really added because when we did this plan, we're really tight on meeting the thresholds for site law treatment standards. And we just need a little bit more impervious area to be treated. So I picked those two lots for the houses to have those, and that got us over the threshold we needed for treatment. So that's why those two. And those are two lots that, because of the configuration of the roadway and the drainage swales that run, or the wetland swales that run through the property, it was difficult to capture those lots and treat them. So those are two lots that previously weren't treated, but now at least the buildings are treated. So
So what will dictate the size of the house?
it kind of, we base it on a footprint of 2,500 square feet. And it's kind of what it is it's a 3-foot wide stone that wraps around the perimeter. We could size it for larger. I don't know, I don't know if we could provide some restrictions on those two lots that they can't, the houses can't have a footprint of over 2,500 square foot. I don't know if.
But wouldn't the restriction or wouldn't the requirement be that it has X amount of impervious surface around the perimeter?
Or you mean X amount of crushed stone?
X amount of,
Yes,
right.
yes.
So like you can make the house whatever size you
Yes,
want.
I guess
as
so,
long as
yeah.
It has the right amount of
Yes.
crushed stone around it. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do it that way. I'd have to figure out the language for that, but yes. Because it is based just on, you just need to provide a certain cubic footage of storage per impervious area. So
Right.
it's just a straight calculation.
Okay. Got it.
Other than that, we do show potential building locations on each lot. I think if it would help the board visualize, we could look at providing a site plan for some of the lots that are more of concern, that have like the steep slopes, or you were questioning about lot 7, making sure you could fit something on there.
I don't think zoning in on any particular lot is helpful, other than the fact that you would show what the building usually looks. And that's my opinion. Comment.
And we run into this a lot with these larger subdivisions, is you want to show a lot of stuff on the subdivision plan, and it just gets very busy. And I wish there was a more clear way of showing the building envelopes on each lot.
Have a separate plan that shows it.
But you'd want that to be part of the recorded.
Well, eventually you would transfer whatever part of it needs to be recorded, but just for illustration purposes, like some of these other plans,
Yeah.
you could show a plan with just building envelopes, with, like the one that Brian just showed from another subdivision.
Yep.
Yeah, similarly, with tree clearing lines. We don't want these lots to be clear cut.
Yep.
So it'd be helpful to see that as well.
I
Not,
think
we
we
don't want,
need to
the
see
ordinance
that.
says
Yeah,
that
we
the
need to
lots should
see it.
not be clear cut.
Yep.
You need a buffer.
Yeah, we need to see the tree clearing lines.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to apply for a cluster subdivision, these are the things that need to happen. If it was a traditional subdivision, not cluster, rules change a little bit. But that's not what we're reviewing here today.
And I just want to go back. I was doing a little research just now. Sorry, regarding the poorly drained soils on the site, and it does appear that there are 2 that are poorly drained, Scantic, and then the Biddeford peaky moss or peaky loam or something. So those are, it looks like, I mean, they're wet soils, so they're going to be around where the wetlands are. So there are poorly drained soils on the site. So might want to consider that as
I will
well.
take a look at that.
Okay. I think above and beyond the wetlands.
Okay.
So I don't know what we want to do with that, but
It's-
consider that next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was part of the building site
Yeah,
definition?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it had to do, same thing with the steep slopes and the wetlands, right? It said no steep slopes, no wetlands, and no poorly drained soils, and it does appear that the two soils that are the Biddeford mucky peat and your Scantic silt loam are very poorly drained.
I'm assuming that's from the Cumberland County Soil Survey.
This is what
Yes.
what you provided, is what I'm looking at, soil series.
I'm assuming they're in the open space, the wetland areas, but
What'd you say?
I'm assuming they're in the open space, the wetland areas.
Well, no, so the soil's mapped and the soils come up to pretty much the proposed road, I would say. Everything's south, if up is north. Everything's south of this road right here, like,
You're looking at a map in the
Yeah.
soils of the soil.
yeah.
I think that could be, I can-
The applicant provided it.
Yeah.
This one, it's like this. So it's your SCA and it's your CO. But yeah, just something to think about when you look at that.
Yeah, so on the, it's buried in the stormwater report, but
Yep.
there's a pre and post development, stormwater, pre and post development watershed plans where we map the soils.
Yep.
So there is BO, there's BO, lots of BO. But it's all located in the lower wetland areas and the Scantic. It's tough to tell the lines. I'd have to see where the Scantic ends. It looks like the Scantic is located down in the wetland areas as well.
Which is all of this.
No, like down in this area.
Yeah, and maybe we could have the third party reviewer look at this as well.
Yep.
This is all Scantic right in here.
I think that's more in this area, but
Is it one of these plans, Joe?
yes. Yeah, so the SYV is. Yeah, so the majority of the area up near the road is in Sutton Loam.
Yep.
Or sorry, Sutton Very Stony Loam.
So D, the letter D means poorly drained. So you have, is your Sutton is B/D.
Yes. So B/D, so it depends on,
The materials of what it's made out of, right? Like whether it's clay
depends on
or it's,
the profile of the soil.
right,
So if it's, and typically where it is where these steep slopes come down, they flatten out to these marshy areas.
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna have the D, where
Yeah.
it performs as a D.
right,
Um,
right.
Or where you have, like when we model, these stormwater, plans, any areas that are classified as wetlands, we model as a D because they function as a D soil. Whether they're in a type A soil, type B soil,
Okay.
they function as D soil because they don't allow, or they allow minimal infiltration into the soil.
So maybe showing that, we just talked about more site plans, but maybe showing that somewhere
Yeah.
on here. You guys.
So, not to go back a little bit, but if we showed a plan that had just the building envelopes on it, so it cleaned up everything, very easy to see where it was, where it wasn't. But that would need to be transferred to the subdivision plan at some point, like demarcation of that or the,
Not necessarily.
okay,
I think the board is just trying to verify.
visualize it, okay.
Whether these lots meet the building envelope, building site, building setback, all of the requirements. An analysis plan, I guess. And from that, they may determine that for particular lots, they will not approve them.
Mhm.
Or they want a specific site plan for the development on that lot. Because it is so tight. And that could be on the.
Yep.
subdivision
Yep.
As a detail.
Yeah, in the previous cluster, we talked about just like flagging those areas on the site so that if you sell the sites off individually, the contractor knows, don't go past.
Yep.
Are we done with the presentation?
Yeah,
Because what I'm leading up to is holding a public hearing. And once that is established, I would say that we table, it's been recommended that we table the application and review the draft approval conditions after consideration of any public comment.
I guess I do want to, before we do that, I want to add one note, but I'll let you finish. You want to just do a quick one?
And I'm just hoping that in having that public hearing, all the other information that we're requesting would be available at that time of the public hearing.
Okay, so should we list, you're all set with yours?
I was just gonna do one quick, I just thought of it. So when you said public hearing, it reminded me. So, because we are doing a site law permit with DEP, we are required to have a public informational meeting, which we held last week or the week before. We had about 15 people show up, some abutters, some interested parties. They had a number of questions, all common questions, traffic, clearing, how close are they gonna be to my property? Things like that. There's a lot of concerns brought up about speed on that road, but, we informed them that was an issue to be brought up with the town rather than us. We don't control, speed limits. But overall, it went very well, and I don't think all of the abutters were happy that this was moving forward, but, I think we were able to address most of their questions, so.
Great.
Just going through the application, regarding solid waste standards, you're asking for guidance from us on, or guidance from the town, I guess is what so I'm just gonna read what your amendment says there. Section 6.20, solid waste standards. Based on the limited extent of the project, it is not anticipated that it will result in the municipality exceeding its contract with a non-municipal solid waste disposal facility, but we will defer to guidance from the town. So,
the reason is that we don't have access to your contract with the solid waste.
they would need to be dealt with from the HOA. The town won't deal with solid waste on this.
Private roads.
Right.
But the big thing about that is the contract is changing because they're going to an automated system. And
So now is the time to talk to them.
Right,
to
going
Casella
to an
right now.
automated system, you're looking at 64-gallon containers that have to be 3 feet apart. And there could be potential issues with a subdivision unless the contractor is allowed to go into the subdivision into each individual household.
Which Casella did say they are.
They're
doing.
willing to do that.
They are willing to
Right,
do
but I
that.
don't know whether the people within the subdivision want that, but first, our roads are built to the same standards, subdivision roads are built to the same standards as the town roads are. So, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't make a difference on what road you're traveling on in the town of Durham. But safety issues going in on a subdivision versus having to put 36 containers close to the Quaker Meeting House Road would be a safety issue. Unless you had a specifically designed area at the beginning of the road to collect those containers.
So are you saying that the Casella would privately contract with the subdivision, or would it be part of the town?
It would be part of the town, but it would be the subdivision having an agreement with Casella to go into the
Like
subdivision.
ready to serve, notice something like that. Yeah.
So depending on the timing, the time this comes back for final approval, probably will be past the June meeting where we'll have a new standard, new ordinance. And that will require, and you could just do this, which is to go to Casella, give them your subdivision plan and ask for a letter from them saying if that is approved and built according to the town standards, they will pick up at each lot. I think that's what the planning board's looking for. That's gonna be in the ordinance when it gets revised.
That's
If
hopefully
it gets
get
approved, if it gets approved,
If it
which,
gets
which is, yeah.
No, when it gets approved.
When it gets approved.
Can I ask a clarifying question around
Yeah.
that?
May you please say who you are?
I'm Heather Roy. I'm an administrative liaison to the project for StoneX and the engineer.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's say I'm doing the what ifs, right? If that doesn't get approved, would it a way to handle this situation be to include in the HOA document that what gets recorded as part of each deed that they're dealing with Casella through that? It couldn't be Casella though, because it might not always be Casella as our contractor.
They could contract with another company. The town won't pick up the trash. It's up to the HOA to deal with the trash.
But
That's
the
what I
town
understand,
does
right?
pick up the trash right now if it's brought out to the end of the road.
I
So,
think that's the issue.
Yeah.
The planning board is gonna have an issue with putting all of the containers for that out on Quaker Meeting House, with its traffic safety issues. So I think it's fair game for the planning board to look at. You need to have a plan for where those containers are gonna be, and you either have Casella or whatever contractor the town goes with. I think that's a pretty done deal. It's just how they're gonna do it. Either Casella picks up in front of each house, or you create on this property an area for containers and have a private carrier come and do like you would for a commercial.
Or
I
we just,
guess what I'm looking for is if the HOA document said that as part of being part of this HOA, they allow permission for a trash contractor to travel the length of the road to collect trash.
I think that and with a capacity letter from Casella saying they're willing to
Yeah,
do
readiness
that.
to serve, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Solves it.
Yeah.
And then, or the other alternative is they just privately contract with a private waste hauler that will just pick up individually
Yeah.
at each house. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever the plan is.
Yep.
Thank you.
So that was the defer to the town, because I wasn't exactly sure when it said exceed the municipal contract. I didn't really know how to deal with that.
That goes back to the old, when they were closing landfills and they had to take their trash to North Walk.
Mm-hmm.
And so DEP said, under the state law, you couldn't approve a subdivision unless you could show that the town has capacity. And they were actually shutting down development in towns that were they had landfills that were not in compliance. That's still in the law. It doesn't make sense anymore, but that's the standard.
So, Mr. Chair, I think that we need to make sure that we're covering the specific conditions that we're requesting the applicant of.
I agree.
I also have one more thing, sorry, one thing generally, it's kind of a bigger thing and maybe it's application specific, but peer review. So I think we can do peer review at any point during the project. Typically, we've been doing it later in the project, but it may be the applicant's best interest to have it done earlier than later, so that you could get information back sooner if something comes up. So I don't know if that's something that you would want to consider having done. I mean, it sounds like you have to wait at least another year to get permits. You know, like, so just consider that.
Okay.
If there's, you know,
Which one, the peer review done, say now and then after permits?
No,
Or just saying, considering you get the permits from DEP.
yeah, like maybe you want to have the peer review done now, right? Like,
And that's the
or coming
question
up.
too of the scope of the peer reviewer, because this is, because it's kind of like how many cooks do you have in the kitchen? You know, you get 10 engineers in the room, they're not all going to agree how stormwater should be designed. So this is going to DEP. It's going to be reviewed. We are hopefully going to have a third-party stormwater reviewer, because the DEP reviewers are so overwhelmed right now, and they have contracted with a number of third-party reviewers, which speed up the process. So this will be peer reviewed. The stormwater will be a peer review. Stormwater and erosion control. I don't know if the town, I don't know how that would work, if the town's gonna have their peer reviewer also review the stormwater. Because then we're trying to review it to meet the state standards and then the peer reviewer standards, and it just ends up being,
Well, the town goes with the state standards.
okay, so the town peer review will just be looking at the town standards that aren't stormwater standards, I guess.
Well, we go by the DEP standards, so.
And the
Uh,
consultant goes
And
by the
some
DEP.
projects don't get a DEP
Yeah.
stormwater permit. So the town engineer, if he sees that the DEP has approved it, then he'll probably accept that it meets the DEP standards.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly right.
What you're saying is eventually we're going to require a peer review.
Yes.
from our-
Yes, we are. I mean, I am gonna heavily suggest that we do,
I-
but when?
I think there's a number of issues that you've outlined here that we can, I think, address before a public hearing, or at least bring to the
Okay.
next public hearing.
Okay,
And at that point, I would think would be a good time to get that peer reviewer involved,
okay,
between kind of the preliminary and the final standpoint. And then, again, when we're gonna submit to DEP, hopefully in the next few weeks, they won't look at the application probably for another 3 months. So we have some time. If the peer reviewer requires some modifications and we have to update the plans, we just kind of swap out the plans with DEP. And
Yeah.
they don't even know, so.
Yeah.
Um,
that's what I would recommend as well, between prelim and final, have that done.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my thought, so. Okay. And it is on the applicant to submit, right? To Goral Palmer is who
Yep.
we use, yeah.
I used to work for Robo.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
I
Many
used to
moons
work
ago.
with them a lot too, not for them, but with them. Cool, all right. Sorry, Brian.
Alan,
Sure.
do you have a motion that you'd like to make? Is that what I hear?
I do, we need to come up with a public hearing date,
All right.
first of all. And a lot of that is how that would fit into George's schedule.
Let's start with that.
You'd just be a regular March meeting, wouldn't it?
Sounds good to me. It's easiest. That date is,
Yeah. That's fair.
Wednesday, first Wednesday, yeah.
same date as February.
When it is.
What day is it?
Juliet,
March
can you
4th.
make that date?
Yes.
Oh, good.
No.
So March
Oh,
fourth.
let's do that.
So we
Oh,
will
yes.
establish a public hearing on March 4th. What else do you want to add to that motion?
I can make the motion, I guess.
Did,
The biggest concern I would have is what, do we have any draft approval conditions? It would be nice to have them available.
They're in the packet.
Okay. So I would make a motion that we hold a public hearing on March 4th. And we will table the application and review the draft approval conditions after we consider any public comment.
do we feel like we covered everything here?
Well, let's go through the list.
I mean,
should
We talked about a lot, but I'm not
Can
sure if we
Can we
covered.
have a second on that? Yeah. Then we can talk about it.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
okay, yes.
All in favor?
What do we, We covered all the conditions.
Yeah, we talked about everything we want. That could potentially be a condition.
Right.
I don't
There's
think there was anything else.
there's one thing I did wanna, at least one thing. So the inland waterfowl wading bird habitat does fall within the subdivision. It's actually the open space, because if the landowner will retain most of it, but there is a part of it within the open space. And in our ordinance, and this is more of a conversation question for the board, in our ordinance, we talk about potentially requiring a report to be prepared by a wildlife biologist in order to assess the potential impact of the subdivision to the habitat and to any species. The applicant received a letter back from the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, talking about this habitat area. And I think the concern could be species in the, waterfowl wading bird, but also bats. So we don't see many projects that have this designation in the subdivision. So just a consideration if we want the applicant to dig further into the review of the habitat and species.
No, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I forgot about it. George and I talked about it earlier today. We did receive a
Okay.
letter. I think you all were copied on that from. the
Oh, yeah, the Conservation Commission. I wanted to bring that up as well, yes.
It was not part of this package today, but that will come up. We did receive a letter from the Conservation Commission regarding the bat species habitat in this area, and that we need to pay attention to when construction activities occur to not disturb their presence.
That'll be part of the wading water, waterfowl and wading bird habitat will be part of the DEP site location permit
Mhm.
review.
Mhm.
And the bat impact clearing limits will be part of the Army Corps, as I understand it.
That's correct.
Yeah, I have some more comments on that stuff as well, but I'm just focusing on our ordinance that states that if this habitat is located within a subdivision, that the board has the option to require a report to be done by a wildlife biologist. So I just wanted to see what you all thought about that. It's page 76, if you want to see it in the ordinance.
Can you clarify what you're looking for? Because that's in the open space, way down the corner of the project.
Yeah, so, I know, it's only a little piece of it, but it does say if any portion of a proposed subdivision lies within this habitat area.
And of course,
So-
it's up to the board's purview, but I would say that it's because of its location and you're exact distance 1,000 feet plus away from
Mhm.
any development area, and that it's going through a thorough state and federal review process. Personally, I don't think it's warranted.
Okay.
I think it's pretty well covered by the other agencies, but again, it's up to the town's purview.
No, we have received comment from the public
Yeah.
regarding this as well, so I think it's something that would require.
Okay. Also, just a related question. Have we started construction? What are we doing on site right now?
There was some limited clearing for where the road's gonna be, and that's
Okay.
kind of so they'll be able to stage for the project hopefully when it does get approved, we're able to move forward.
Okay,
But-
so would you say we have started construction? Just
There's just some
staging?
limited clearing, yeah.
Okay, and are we doing any sort of forestry practices, like harvesting? Are you
That's
selling
what- that's what he
the
said.
trees?
We're not selling the trees.
You're not selling the trees? Okay. I mean, right now is a great time to cut the trees, right? I think
Yeah,
the
that's why,
window,
that's why they're in there.
yeah, October through May.
That way we would avoid all the bad stuff down the road.
Yeah,
That way it wouldn't like get approved in say spring or whatever, and then you couldn't start until a year later.
yeah. So is your thought to clear all of the areas that you need to clear before May this year?
Within reason, I mean, you can't, there's always a little bit of clearing here and there once you actually go to position a house. But for the infrastructure, yes,
Okay,
clearing for the infrastructure.
okay.
So the majority of it was done outside of the, I think it's bat breeding season, I don't know.
It is.
habitat
Yeah,
season,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So outside of that time frame.
Yeah, the bat breeding period is May 15th to August 15th.
So that way that stuff would all be done whenever the infrastructure starts on the project, we don't have to, they wouldn't be like a 6-month delay. Because obviously May through, let's say August, that's probably the best time to do construction. It's a little cold out right now, but
I'd also just like to point out that regardless of subdivision approval or not, the land retained by owner is having a house built out there. And so whether or not the subdivision gets approved, that will be the access to her eventual house that's out there.
Okay, but would that need to be approved? The road's gonna need to be approved
Well, it
by,
would be a driveway if it was just.
if you
but
got
would
rid
it
of the
need to be
stuff,
approved by the DP and all of that because of the wetlands and stuff?
It'd just be a building permit,
Oh, okay.
because it's just a building permit on a one-track plan.
So is that kind of what you're saying, is that you are going in there and working on the road for this?
Well, so, yeah, we were gonna talk to the planning board about it, because regardless whether we put a subdivision here, or we not put a subdivision, if we say, yeah, you know what, not worth it, or something like that, the plan is to still build the land retained by owner. I'm still gonna build her a house there,
Mhm.
and this is going to be where her driveway goes regardless.
Yeah.
It's just, if it's, we build it 16 feet wide or we build it 20. But that's where it's gonna go, no matter what.
Isn't it a non-conforming lot?
That, this whole property,
The 17 acres.
I think
If,
that's
if
the
the
question.
subdivision does not get approved, that lot is a non-conforming lot.
they would have a right of way through here.
Where's the frontage?
Are you saying on frontage on the road?
The 17-acre lot has no frontage on a road.
I think the question
it'd
is
be a
if that would meet
non-conforming
the backlot requirements. I think that's
That's a
one of the
whole
questions.
nother
one of the questions
situation.
that George brought up, and that's the kind of one of the things that I think we need to get
Yeah,
fleshed out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so again, the tree clearing happening right now is for, not for construction reasons, but for,
There's been no disturbance. There's been no, say,
No fill brought in.
yeah, no fill, no.
Yeah.
It's just been the clearing.
okay,
It's just in area in the winters, it's a lot less damage. Skidders and the big machinery,
yeah.
because the ground's frozen right now, so they're not making ruts.
Yeah,
and
no, it
mud.
makes the
Yeah.
most sense to do it
Yeah,
this
it's the
time of
best
year,
time,
for
yeah,
sure. I just,
yeah.
okay, and then one last thing, the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, in that letter, they are requesting a couple additional things. Vernal pool report
We did have that.
submitted to them.
But yes, we can submit it to them. We already had one done. But
Oh,
yes,
okay,
there was,
yeah.
There was
Yeah.
no vernal pools found out there.
Yeah, Alex did it, right? Yeah, I think he said in his report, unless he went out again, he said in his report that he didn't do it during the right season or something like that, but based on what he
Yeah.
saw.
So you outside of the vernal pool season, what they do is they go and they look for potential vernal pools.
Yes.
And he didn't find any potential vernal
Right,
pools out there.
right. But yeah, I think he just needs to submit that to
Yep.
NDIF&W. And then also it does seem like they didn't get your tree clearing limits. Like they don't know where you're proposing to clear trees. And again, this has to do with bats.
Yep.
So I think it's important that you update them with
Mhm.
this. And so you're already clearing trees, so, you know, just figure that out, but. Okay.
We ready to vote on the motion?
Was there anything else? Anyone? Oh, God, yeah. Actually, FEMA location, the floodplain. It's just the same location, right? Close to that habitat.
Yes.
In the southwest, southeast, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just to confirm, the motion is that we hold a public hearing on March 4th, 2026. And we withhold making any decisions or approving this preliminary approval until then.
So after considering any public comment, yes.
And I believe you second this. All in favor? Should we go through the conditions that we've? This.
Should we do that after the,
Yeah, you just tabled.
yeah, we
Okay.
did, let's do it after the hearing.
Gotcha.
George, when would you need material for that March? Like, since we already have a standing application, when do you need, like, a week before?
At least a week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll take a short break and get back to the next agenda item.
Right.
Other business. Other business.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to the planning board.
Thank
for
you.
serving. Same to you.
This is one of our shorter meetings.
I saw last one went to like 9 o'clock, 9:30.
Yeah,
We had two, like, substantial.
yeah, no, we've had, some pretty full agendas.
Yeah.
All summer was nothing, and then boom,
Yeah.
subdivision.
Right.
A lot going on.
We get nice winter walks in the woods. Surprisingly, that one was not well attended by the public. Not like anyone was there except board members.
Right.
I think a lot of people are not aware of this. I saw messages on all things Durham. People are not aware of this that are going on.
I don't know how, it's just the news blast and then the website really, right?
Yeah, you know, you make your public notice, about whatever the legal way is to do that. That's what's provided, so.
So do you all know the ordinance by heart?
No. No, I control
Because you
F.
guys cited the stone wall. I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
the top two are mine,
Oh,
the bottom two are yours, I think.
is the new senior member, right?
I am not, I think Alan is, I think those are your two.
Longevity, maybe.
Put them back on your, I think right there.
I think you and I came back, same time, didn't you?
I've never served on the board with you until you just came back. I was here, I guess it was 2017 or 2016.
Two of us that expired, she was here before.
But
that.
yeah, I guess
Two of us
maybe I
expired
am
next
here.
year.
How long have you been on board?
I moved here, 10 years ago, so probably 9 years. Yeah.
Awesome.
You want to come join the group?
Sure.
Okay, so planning board discussion of public process for the draft land use ordinance amendments. George, why don't you take it from there?
Yeah, so we've been working
here.
on these ordinance
Okay.
amendments since April of last year, after the town meeting, and pretty much have prepared draft amendments on 3 tracks. The first is the codification of the ordinance, which includes 100 editorial changes recommended by the town's consultant. That's why the packet was so long, because between them including the entire stormwater report,
Yeah.
which is not usual for preliminary, and the entire draft ordinance, that's why it came out to be 500 pages.
Not quite.
Yeah, but, so in the codification version that was submitted by the consultant, I did go through and put a box in wherever the changes were made, so you can skim through those. Again, these are all editorial changes, changing the title. Like, some places it calls it Select Board, Board of Selectmen. And so it just has consistent terminology, those types of editorial changes. Some of them were required, like updating the floodplain management to meet the state requirements, those sorts of things, so. But no policy and no administrative changes are in the codification piece. And separately, we have all gone through a long process, including some public meetings of proposing some minor policies, like the solid waste pickup that we talked about, and also some administrative changes, like having 3 weeks to prepare for this meeting instead of 2 weeks that we have now, and answering Mr. Martin's question of how soon do those have to be in before the meeting.
Right now it's 1 week,
There
right?
is, there's nothing
Or
in the
there
ordinance
isn't,
that says
okay,
it. They could bring it in at the meeting. So the the codification will be one warrant article on the town meeting warrant. The minor policies will be a second warrant article, and the administrative changes will be a third warrant article, with the latter two going before the codification. So if the minor policy changes are approved, they'll be incorporated into the recodified ordinance. If the administrative changes are approved, they'll be incorporated. If neither are approved, then just the codification will change the current, it'll keep the current language for all of those things. So that's how we've kind of structured it, so that codification, which the town has invested in, doesn't get affected by any controversy over any of the policies. And pretty much all through this process, the board has pretty much said, look, let's just deal with easy stuff. Let's not do any big issues, like we've done in the past with battery energy storage and solar and those things. So it's pretty much on a farther ahead of the curve than we've ever been in terms of the process. Select Board has approved putting that before the voters. They're pretty much good with the language. We have this meeting and the next meeting, if you want to take a look at the codification piece, which you haven't really delved into. And they're pretty much good to go. So I did include in your packet the schedule, which includes you start at the town meeting and work backwards toward us. And you typically have your formal, legally required public hearing no more than 30 days, nor less than a week before the town meeting. And that's not a time to people come in and say, oh, change this, change that. It's just to say, this is what's going to be, you're going to be voting on. If you choose to, you've had public meetings in the fall. If you choose to have a second public hearing earlier where you can make changes on any of these policies, like the sprinklers and fire and subdivisions, you want to put that out one more time, you could do that. And I put kind of in the schedule, I think that was in March. And then the legally required public hearing would be in May, just before the town meeting. So that's the process. The whole package is very much ready to roll. So hopefully this is just a briefing. That's where we are, unless you have questions.
All right, so we've all seen the administrative changes and what's the other one?
Minor policies.
Minor policy changes several times now. Nothing's changed there. We've had one public hearing on both of them.
They were public information meetings, not
Okay.
formal public hearing.
Okay. This is the first time that we see the codification changes. So what I'm hearing you say is, we can comment on them tonight and next month.
Yep.
Any comments on the codification, changes that were proposed? I know there's a lot to go through right now. No. All right, so we can let that linger for another month.
Okay.
If you guys want to take some time to look at those, come up with some comments, and then we'll talk about schedule. Where was this? There you go. So George, you're proposing March 18th, public hearing for all of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you feel that that's needed at this point. And again, if you take public comment at that, you could still make changes at that point.
I'd prefer to hit it up as soon as possible.
I
In case
agree,
any
yeah.
snags come up.
I 100% agree.
All right, so. March 18th. And I'll send out my typical email to everybody prior to that meeting, to make sure we have a quorum to discuss that. And George, have you already confirmed whether or not the space is available?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So tentative, March 18th, land use ordinance public hearing number 1. Okay, so then the 14th of April is when the select board would vote on the drafts. Public hearing number 2, May 20th, and that would be the final public hearing.
Yep.
Okay. I don't have any issues with those dates.
I just checked, they're fine for me.
You said March
Put them on
18th
my calendar right now.
and,
March 18th for the first one.
yep,
May 20th for the second one. And in between those two, the select board will get a chance to look at them in April.
Yeah, so I mean, if you get
Yeah.
all of a sudden 50 people come out and say, don't do that.
yeah.
Then you could go back to the select board and say, we had another public hearing. And you could educate the select board, or on the flip side, you had 2 meetings in the fall, you had this public hearing, everybody seems good to go with it, or no furor, so just added. It's really an added opportunity for the public to have input, so that when you get to the town meeting, and invariably we'll have somebody stand up and say, I never heard about any of this. And all you can say is, look, we had 4 public hearings. We couldn't do more than that.
Okay,
And of course, at the town meeting, we'll describe it all again, and there'll be folks that weren't ever notified. So Sunny and Darren, you have this information now. There were a few things that we decided to kick down the road, just so you know. One of them is about was noise ordinances. Campground.
Yeah, there were a few things that people come up and said, oh, change this, change that, and so it was mainly, there was a minor thing about, one of the agriculture committee members wanted you to go with the state definition of campgrounds and not review 4 campsites.
Yeah.
So that got kind of said, no, that's a policy issue we're gonna put off until after codification.
Right.
But the bigger one was the noise.
Yeah. So there were a few things, there were more than what's in the package that we had considered and discussed and decided that, yeah, it needs more discussion. Let's just get these easy things off the table right now.
Yeah.
So that's coming down the road after town meeting.
The whole thing is a yes or no, right? So
Yeah.
Right.
1 to 6 would sink the whole thing, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, hi, wait, let me just go through the agenda here. Let's see. Oh, okay. Any other discussion on those issues? The LUO stuff.
I don't, not for me.
All right, so then we had Juliet, you had a few things you wanted to discuss, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And George,
Yeah, George summed it up perfectly too, in the,
I think that's the next piece, right?
Then you wanted to talk about the role of the new planning board members and the
And the
storm
Yep,
cancellation.
exactly, yep.
policy.
So let's stick with your summary of Juliet's questions.
Oh, so your questions were, how much, and some of it came up in tonight's discussion of the project.
Mhm.
The extent of site disturbance that may occur prior to subdivision approval, examples, tree clearing, test pits. Secondly, how much disturbance may affect outside agency reviews, some more discussion of that tonight. And then thirdly, whether the planning board, when it can and should require peer reviews.
One other thing that I had mentioned, is about violations with an applicant. Prior violations with an applicant. I think I saw something in our ordinance about that, but I couldn't find it just now.
Well, the town attorney has pretty much said consistently, if someone is in violation of the
Yeah.
ordinance.
Oh, yeah. Currently, yes, I meant past,
Yeah,
like
but I
previous,
don't-
was
no,
there
I don't think you.
nothing there? I thought I saw, okay, all right, great, so you didn't bring it up, so that's fine, so yes, those are the three.
You get a chance to review George's comments?
I
on it?
did,
All
I
right.
did, yeah. So should I start with what I'm thinking?
Sure.
Okay, the extent of site disturbance that can occur prior to subdivision approval. So yeah, the biggest thing that I've seen, not just with this one we just saw today, but others is clearing of trees before approval of a subdivision or site plan approval. But George, based on what you sent over, I did a little more research too. In Maine, it does seem like there's, unless the town or the AHJ has more strict rules and regs, there is, as long as the site is not started construction, they're okay to go in there
Tree clearing.
and clear trees.
Yeah.
So I guess that's that.
And there are a couple of places in Durham, I mean, as you ride around, people will suggest, oh, we're gonna put a subdivision over here. No, people are managing their forestry area, and in a lot of these cases, that's what goes on. Because I have approached, there was one that was on, corner of 125 and Meadow Road. And I knew the person that owned the land, and I approached him personally. He says, I am managing the land. I have no intention of putting a subdivision, but don't say no. He is not a developer. He is a builder.
Mhm.
And what he did, cleaning up that piece of land was outstanding.
That's Wally Staples, right?
Pardon me?
Staples, Wally Staples, yeah.
Yeah, Wally Staples.
Yeah, and George, you brought up a good point too in your notes that a lot of these projects are getting reviewed by other entities and they need permits. And so like tree clearing, bats, right? That's going to be reviewed. So if something comes up, if there is a violation, well, they'll hear about it from them.
Yeah.
So, but one more thing I did want folks to know, page 71 under violations enforcement. Letter E, no development prior to subdivision approval. So development of the subdivision without board approval shall be a violation of law. Development includes grading or construction of roads, grading of land or lots, or construction of buildings which require a plan approved as provided in these regs and recorded in the registry of deeds. So I think that trigger there is the road, right? Construction of a road.
Or
So-
even like grading,
Or grading, yeah,
site grading,
yeah.
whether it's subdivision or site plan.
Right, yeah. Okay, so that was that piece of it.
That's the fuzzy line to me, especially on this one. Like, to me, I consider start of construction when you start clearing land,
Yeah,
right? Like, the example you gave about Wally Staples, he's just managing he has no intention of, but this is like an active subdivision application, and the developer is starting to cut a road through. And what he said, George, I think you stepped away, was that would be the road to the 17-acre lot.
yeah,
So he's actually saying that he's creating a road to a non-conforming lot. So, and he's crossing wetlands.
Right.
So yeah, I have
Right.
some issues.
yeah,
I guess I don't know how to resolve them.
yeah. I think it's really has to do with the HJ, like we could make it a thing here, but right now it's not a thing.
You can adopt.
Like the
policies.
town could,
Yeah, back when we did update the shoreline zoning, the town had to make a decision, are you going to regulate forestry?
Yeah,
And the answer was no.
right.
Town does not want to get into hiring a forester to regulate all the tree cutting that happens in town.
Yeah,
Some towns do,
yeah,
but it's a big deal to try to do that.
yeah, yeah. Okay. And then the second one, how such disturbance may affect outside, okay, we just talked about that, outside agency reviews. And the third one is the timing and topics of peer reviews of project submissions. So I brought that up today too. And George, you had some good notes. And I just some review. So I think it's completely our decision, right? The town's decision on when we want to have these peer reviews completed. But maybe we do give it like the option to the applicant on when they want to have it done. I think in the past, we've done it during final review, right? And that's like late stage like if something comes up during peer review, that's the end of the game. Not end of the game, sorry. End of the, like there's not much more time they have to fix whatever it is.
Well, what this analysis included was saying to the applicant, get your peer review done before you file your final plan, which
Yeah.
is what you were saying.
Which is
earlier.
exactly, yeah, it's on
Yeah.
them. The onus is on them
Right.
to get it done, not
Right.
us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think.
So make all, like, the engineering changes, you gotta make them before you come in, and it'll just go much quicker.
Yeah,
Resolve the issues with the town peer review engineer. And again, the town engineer, it's like he was saying, too many cooks.
yeah,
The
right,
town engineer that does the review is not a cook,
right.
he's an inspector.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I think maybe it's on us to like maybe bring it up during the application review and let them know that they can do it whenever they want, but it's on them to do it, right?
To submit it, yeah. And we
To submit it to
we
Goral
recommend
Palmer.
them, I mean, you can't force them to submit it before they file
Right.
file their final plan. If they do, you just table it and say, come back when you're
Yeah.
ready.
It's in their best interest to get it
Yeah.
done
Oh,
sooner.
yeah.
Yeah, okay,
I think it's working,
all right, yeah, great. Well, thanks for the conversation.
yeah.
Great questions,
Oh,
really.
thanks. More next week.
They trying to see.
Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Sure. So, George,
Thank you.
sent this to me, earlier this week or last week. Just and it wasn't part of this package, so I'm distributing it now. You can take a look at this and we can talk about it next meeting, or we can talk about it now. It's just a, policy regarding, inclement weather. We had, was it 2 meetings ago, it was really icy out there.
Oh, yeah.
Right, I don't know that I could have predicted that 24 hours before that meeting, but, anyway.
But then the site visit you had was super, super cold, right?
I know you're a delicate flower.
No, I mean, would that would have been, like an example, right?
When it was scheduled, there was no nor'easter.
On the last meeting, this policy proposes that the decision be made by the chairman at 3 o'clock on the day of the meeting.
Oh, okay,
So you
Yeah.
start checking the weather
Okay.
forecast, check with the road commissioner the day before the meeting.
yeah,
If there's a winter storm watch, and or a warning, but the chairman makes a call by 3 o'clock on the day of the meeting, and then we already know what we're gonna do. And we're like, I'm calling him, who makes the call? And who do we tell?
yeah,
This sets out all the procedures. Most towns have this
yes,
in place, and so this is what we've done elsewhere.
So it'd get probably a news blast on the town website as long as people have signed up for that, correct?
Yeah. Because a lot of times people will be calling town hall or looking to see, and they'll say, we don't know.
There's nobody, or there's no one there, it's after the fact and
Yeah,
the town office.
well, you
is
do what you
closed.
can. And we
Yeah,
put out- we
this
put out-
has a notice would be put on the door here, on that date.
so Brian, you let the town office know if it's canceled or rescheduled? Like, once you decide, you're the one that tells them and then it goes out, is that right?
Yeah, after
By 3 of
communicating
that
with
day?
Brian and I
Calvin.
will work together
Okay.
to get the word out, but
Okay.
we'll have clear, here's what happens.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You'll know what happens.
Yep.
So you won't be wondering. And applicants will know too.
Okay.
it would be
Yeah.
good to do
And-
it if you're okay with this to approve it tonight, because then we can run with it for the March meeting.
Absolutely. And I like how you say it'll be the next Wednesday. Right?
Yep.
It'll be the next following Wednesday, whether it's a public hearing, whether it's a meeting.
Yeah, and there is a more detailed addition to this. I'll forward it to the board.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you the one pager summary.
Yeah, no, this,
It has all the specific
Right.
steps.
okay, okay, great. Should we talk about sick too and quorums? Like, this is weather focused, but like if people are sick, like, because we have more members now, which is great, but like, should we let folks know by a certain time?
Well, I
Not
think
gonna
the one
come.
thing that Brian he's been requesting whether we're attending meetings, and I always respond to that. I'm always look at the site every day, but I always respond to that thing that I'm coming or.
Yeah,
And you could use the same procedure.
yeah, we could.
Yeah.
Yep.
3 p.m.
And
day
if-
of meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
must have 3 people, and if not, the following Wednesday.
Yep, three is the quorum,
Yeah,
right?
okay, yeah. And Wednesdays are good anyways, right? With our schedule, with our town calendar, there's nothing else going on.
Generally, they're good.
Yeah,
Availability of this
Yeah.
space.
okay, great, I love it. I would make a motion to approve this inclement weather meeting policy and add in the sick policy as well as discussed.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Since there's nothing else on the agenda, I would move to, we adjourn.
Oh, wait, there is.
There is.
Oh, wait a minute, you said one more thing and that was 10 things
No,
ago.
no, that wasn't even me this time. It's not me, it's Brian.
I'm guilty. No, I just want to welcome Darren LeVake and Sunny Dew to the board here. Sunny, I understand you're a full-time member, and Darren, you're an alternate member. So correct me if I'm wrong here, George, but you're both welcome to come to every meeting. But I don't think you can vote at every meeting.
Mhm.
You can vote at every meeting. as a
Right.
Fair,
full-time
one of us
member.
recuses
Correct.
ourselves from something.
Yeah,
Correct.
if any of the
We should
regular,
need something
those
for
are the
quorum.
terms regular and alternate. If any of the regular members are not able to vote for conflict of interest or they're not here, then you as a chairman appoints the alternate to vote in their place for that meeting.
Mhm. Yes, thank you. And will you both get town email addresses? Did they tell you whether or
No,
not
they
you would?
they said they're not doing that anymore.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right, because we have
Yeah, we have
Gmails.
Gmail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still,
Wow.
it's still a
It's
town,
still-
it's still a
Yeah,
town
you
Gmail
will be
address.
added to the planning board list.
Okay.
So you will be assigned an email, your name and
Right.
at Durham.
Oh.
Yes, they will get a town email, but it'll be part of the group and won't be, separate, so.
You have to make it.
Oh.
You make it tell.
Just talk to Devin
Yeah,
at the
Devin.
town offices and he'll get you set up.
Oh, interesting. Because when I did my Austin and all that, they said they're not doing that anymore.
Yeah,
They're
Yeah,
not
I know
doing the
there's a change.
.gov emails,
okay.
that's just the select board.
Okay.
That's
So talk to Devin at the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You know, like mine is my name .durham@gmail.com. So I've made a separate Gmail account. I let them know here's the address. They put me on the distribution list.
oh yeah, that is
okay.
correct. You have to set up your own. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, but Devin will help you do that.
Okay.
And then he will add it to the list.
yeah. So once that's established, as we discussed earlier, a few days before each meeting, I'll send everybody an email confirming whether or not you're available. So then, Darren, in your case, you'll be able to know whether or not you should expect to be voting at some of these.
Perfect.
I won't be available for the next meeting. I'll be away.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
I'm available the next meeting.
Perfect.
So regarding the Durham Heights subdivision, you both were here today. Like going forward, we're going to have meetings where we're voting. What do you think about having their participation in this one? Because you can go back and watch like the videos. We've only had one other meeting previous to this. We have the site visit. I think it might bode well that we allow them to do that if we need it. For
Yeah,
the,
I
this
think-
Durham Heights subdivision specifically.
No, well, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
I thought tonight was a good time for each, Sunny and Darren to just sit back and kind of watch the process, but
Yeah.
I would expect that, you'd be fully up to speed. Probably up to speed for the next meeting. I know it's a lot to process,
Yeah.
for sure. But,
We got a month to do it, so there's plenty of time.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Cool.
right.
And both of you will need to get the MMA training. Town will pay for it. It's basically, you can usually do it online, but sometimes it's good to go to one of their local events, like at Brunswick, where they have, members of MMA staff attorneys and, planning board members are there, code officers, and they pretty much go over the ground rules for boards of appeals and planning boards in Maine. Talk about some of the recent legislation. Is it Daryl or Darren? Darren, I did provide you with a copy of the MMA handbook, and I
Yep.
can get one that to
Okay,
you, Sunny.
yeah.
That'll basically, there's all kinds of stuff in there, but generally, as you probably perceived, I try to brief the board on the issues, and so don't feel like you've got to memorize that book.
Just
the ordinance. Just ordinance.
But it is helpful to know, and then the other required training is freedom of access to information. So basically, you cannot have conversations with anybody outside of this meeting in terms of an applicant or an abutter. And sometimes, like if your neighbor's there, and if you do have a conversation, it's okay. Just disclose it to the board and just say, look, somebody cornered me at the, get and go, and this was what we discussed, and I told them I can't really discuss it with you. Because basically it's what they call ex parte communications. And it's not fair for the developer to have a neighbor lobbying a board, but you're like a jury, you're quasi judicial. So rules of courts to some extent apply. So you should avoid having any conversation outside of the meeting with anybody that's a party.
Including ourselves.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't all talk to, more than two of you together, it's a public meeting and you have to advertise it.
So what I do, and I don't know if this is correct, George, is if I have an idea for like an agenda item for the next meeting, I'll send it to the entire group and say, these are some suggestions. I won't have any questions for anybody and I won't want a response back. It's just like letting people know topics for the next meeting. So I think that's
The
okay.
best channel is to go through me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, anything like
So
that.
go just to George.
Go right to me.
Okay,
You want to add something to the agenda, or you have a question.
okay.
If it's just an individual question or questioning something, and then I can circulate it. The thing you don't want to do is start going back and
No,
forth.
you don't want the back and
Because
forth.
if you go back and forth, then you're conducting a public meeting,
Okay.
and you have to have public notice.
All right,
of
well,
that.
good. I'm glad I brought that up. So just to George then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And same thing, if anybody, like Brian, sometimes somebody will write an email to the chairman and say, I want this, or I want that, or I have these comments. We basically politely tell them, channel all those communications through the town planner, and I circulate it to everybody.
Okay, yeah.
Just to add to that, there's a point where you might need to recuse yourself from the meetings. So if an applicant is your neighbor, that's or you have a
Vested interest.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me just clarify that, and this is the type of thing they discuss at the MMA training sessions. So recusal is required if you have the 10% financial interest, you or a relative has a 10% interest in the outcome. But beyond and those are, not very often that you have to recuse yourself, but if you feel like a jury or a judge, that you are biased for some reason, like it's your cousin that's doing the development application.
Or your neighbor, you
Yeah.
know, or something like that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then you can and should disclose it.
Mhm.
So what you do is if you think there's a question of either a conflict of interest or a question of bias, then basically bring it to the table and put it before the board and ask the board, do you feel comfortable?
Mhm.
And if the board is, because this sometimes happens, the board's comfortable, applicants comfortable with it, then you don't need to recuse yourself.
Hmm.
But disclosure is always first rule.
Those trainings in that handbook that you sent, does that have instructions on how to sign up for trainings? I haven't had a chance to read.
No,
the
what'll
handbook.
happen is, MMA frequently sends me, the notice of their next training, whether it's FOA or Planning Board, Board of Appeals. And what I'll do is contact you
Cool.
and say, do you want to attend that? Some of them are online, FOA training you can do online, so.
Okay.
You can do those, but if there is a cost, the town will cover it for you.
And sorry, Devin at the town office, last name
Darno,
Garno, Garneau.
very good.
All right.
What I need.
To make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate
It's
You.
exciting.
Welcome.
Yes.
Well, on a busier time than I came on.
Good then.
When I came on, it was just clarification.
No, it's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't forget that, did you? Yeah, they got trash down to the end of the road, talk about, oh, we got trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if we can do that for all of the time.
I asked Alan, what about being like a
I don't
neighborhood
know
party
what-
or something with it?
I don't know what you have done for takeaway yet.
Oh,
Have
we
you
don't
done
have to
nothing?
wait, no.
Still open? It hasn't been finalized?
Not even started, I think.
In the spring, I was told.
In the next 6 months.
Yeah.
he said.
And Caitlin asked him too, and she was told in the spring also, so.
Yeah.
Told by whom?
Todd.
Todd?
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Night.
Yeah, so it has been.
Well, the whole thing where it, around April first, so it's gonna be issuing the 64 gallon containers. But you're gonna get one for trash, you're gonna get